I'm going to start tagging more fools.
You know, this dude, man, that I'm friends with on Facebook's got a fucking guy.
Which one?
This guy, Clark, he's a fucking weirdo from Texas, man. And he's always talking about how fucking hot Sandy is.
That's, you know
And
what,
I'm like,
number
dude,
one.
I'm like, you gotta fucking stop it.
We're live
You know,
on the
you
air.
can compliment. You can,
Well, it's true. I hope you hear it, Clark. Cut it out.
you can compliment my wife. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But,
You know, I mean, once or twice you're flattered, but after that,
and then it's getting weird. Then it's getting weird.
We're live. Movie Mayhem.
All right. Put it over there. There's 4 people watching already.
All right, we're getting into it. That was me watching. And Tommy Gonzalez. Hey, Tommy.
Oh, shit. I got to set up the audio part.
All right, so,
Oh yeah, we have to hear us.
yeah.
getting involved.
Welcome to Movie Mayhem.
No audio. That's an outrage.
It'll be audio, all right.
Movie Mayhem.
That's an American outrage.
I'm gonna sit in your mirror.
Free Magic Hat at 7B if anybody wants to come
Oh, yeah.
down, at least for a little while.
Three's my favorite prize.
Hello, people. Welcome to a new show. This is like episode 2 or 3 that we done
2.
of Rocker Mike and Rob present
Yep.
ClownKong Movie Mayhem.
Movie
And
man.
we got a special today. We'll be discussing 2 movies. They're all movies, but they were like one of
Classics.
those movies that were like the first genre, real horror. That turned into horror later on,
Right.
but they didn't know what to call them.
Well,
in the beginning.
yeah, I mean, they're really classics. One is
classic.
called Freaks. You guys might know that. And one is called Mad Love, starring Peter Lorre.
Oh my God, Mad Love was
Mad Love
fantastic.
was the best, man. So let's get into it, man. We got
Hello.
ClownKong right here.
Hello.
Okay. And he was a guest a few weeks back. We had to bring him in.
I gotta ask you something about Free.
Okay.
So which one we gonna start? Mad Love?
I figured Mad Love.
Mad Love and we're Free. So let's but I wanted to ask Scotty, that fucking weird person, that was a real life mongoloid.
Which one?
The guy,
They're all real.
remember when the mother
They're
took out all the
all-
kids?
Those are
Yeah.
pinheads.
Yeah.
But they were all,
They call them pinheads.
I think they're more like mongoloids.
There's a name for the disease. I
It's
forget.
called microcephaly.
Microcephalic.
Right.
Oh my God.
They're microcephalics.
I like that the guy
Like
was
this.
so.
See?
Yeah, there it is.
That's Schlitzy. That's Schlitzy.
Yeah. I love
It's
it.
called microcephalic. And it's
I love it when the
this,
mother, the guy said, "It's some mother with some weird kids."
Can I ask you something?
But
Can I
you,
ask you something?
you said he's not the. You said she wasn't the mother, though.
No, she,
I think that's what
she was there.
I think that's what she told the guy. I think
No,
she
in
was-
real life.
She acted no.
No?
Was that the first time you've seen Freaks?
Yeah, I never seen it. It was fantastic.
All right, before we start, I know we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
What did you think of Freaks right off the bat?
I said, this is the craziest, weirdest shit I ever seen. And imagine you watching this fucking movie at that time, how people
You know
were.
what? You know what? Let's just talk about Freaks.
What?
Let's go right into Freaks.
We're gonna just go to
This
Freaks?
is- I mean, we
Why not?
can't go back.
Yeah,
We're starting with it. All right. All right.
All right, can we start off with the director Todd Browning?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
All right, Todd Browning,
1932 film.
1932 film. Todd Browning. First of all,
Before, let's cheers,
yeah,
everybody.
let's cheers,
Lumped up.
Cheers. Getting lumped up.
Todd Browning. There's a lot to Todd Browning. Just some basic ideas. He comes from Louisville, Kentucky.
Right.
Louisville, Kentucky. Fun fact. This is for you sports fans. His uncle was Pete Browning,
Oh,
the original Louisville Slugger.
Louisville Slugger guy.
I didn't know
I heard that.
Ta-da! Ta-da! Did I get a new fact that you
Yes,
didn't know?
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
Did not know that.
You know what? If the rest of this podcast goes, the fact that I got you
I
at least
might
on
have
one.
a couple of things you
Just
didn't
because
know.
I got one on you.
Can you tag
The original-
Scotty right there? You see that tag there? It say
Yeah,
tag.
tag.
It's-
Where? Here?
It
This?
say blue, just tag.
This one?
Yeah. They probably tag him. Well, let's see. Did it tag him? Oh yeah, it must have.
Must have.
Something happened.
If not, we will.
Ta-da!
Whatever.
Nothing up my sleeve.
Okay.
So, anyway, around, if you don't mind, I'm just going to go over a little bit about
do
Todd
your
Browning.
thing, man. You're an expert on this.
Todd Browning, around 16 years old, he was fascinated by sideshows and circus.
Right.
So he just took off and joined a sideshow. He did some things. He used to be a talker.
Oh, they were.
Talker.
That's like a barker.
Yeah, that's.
Like he would get people to come in and all that.
Right. The correct term is talker, where you'd stand in front of, for the banners and pull people in.
Yeah.
He did that. He also did I can't remember the exact term. He was a talker for specifically for the Wild Man of Borneo.
Okay.
Which is a
Man,
great
the Yum Yum Eat 'em Up guy?
Yeah.
From the Little Rascals?
Yeah.
Yum Yum Eat 'em Up? He was the wild man of Borneo, too.
So, he also did a buried alive act where he would get buried alive for 24 hours.
Really
and that was his act.
really buried alive.
Really, actually buried
What
alive.
did he do for 24
He probably
hours?
had an oxygen tank in there.
Well,
it was a party show. It was an illusion.
Right,
Yeah.
so everybody come, they watch him get buried alive for 24 hours. People would walk by, see, and then 24 hours later they pull him
You
out.
think he packed a lunch?
I guess so.
Yeah, I didn't miss that, son.
I was wondering where he shit.
Yeah. Ooh, piss, yeah. Ooh.
That's what I always think about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the whole buried alive thing freaks me out. Anyway, so he was just. Oh, and also he and I have one thing in common.
What?
We were both clowns with the Ringling Brothers Circus. He
Really?
was a clown with the Ringling Brothers Circus, as was I.
But you're a vampire clown.
But you're right. You were a vampire.
500
clown.
years old.
Right. Not always.
It was years ago.
501 years ago.
So that's his background.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're gonna fast forward because there's so much to talk about. I'm gonna fast forward. So he did all these films with Lon Chaney.
Yes.
Silent films.
Right.
These were some of the creepiest, weirdest, craziest shit. And this was before the codes.
He
Pre-code
was like,
film.
he was like
Freaks.
Ed Wood. He did movies almost like Ed Wood.
Right,
Kind of.
except
They were weird and
better.
cool.
But they were better. They yeah.
They were really
He actually
good.
had a studio, to work
The
with.
Unknown.
Yes. Classic.
A great film.
Classic. I'm gonna go home and watch that
You
tonight.
want to hear
Right,
something
right.
funny? The guy from Mad Peter
Laurie.
He's in the only one with two movies that the hands are the killer. He did another one, The Hand of Death or whatever that is.
Yeah. It was similar.
That was
Yeah, it
another
was a
one.
similar
It was
thing.
a similar movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then
there's
he
been
did
a
this
few.
one.
There's been a few movies like that over the years.
So let's get to the beginning scene of this fucking movie.
Now, let me just give a little background here for a second. All right, Freaks came out in 1932, and we were saying directed by Todd Browning. Now, MGM put out this movie. It kind of plays almost. I guess it. No, I'm gonna say it's definitely an MGM film. Mad Love plays more like a Universal.
Yeah.
Correct.
But Freaks is definitely an MGM film. Now, it's based on a book called Spurs. All right.
A French
Actually, it was a
French
short
book.
story, Spur.
Right, it was a French story, and which I really wasn't aware of that. I've never read it. Have you?
but no,
Probably can't get
I've not.
Yeah, I wonder if you can
Do
get
you
it.
know who introduced that book to Todd Browning?
It was the guy that
Played the midget in Freaks, Harry
right,
Earl.
right. Harry Earl
He's like,
introduced it to him.
hey, I want to do this
Well,
story.
he knew Browning from the early films,
From the three,
the Unholy
Three.
The Unholy Three.
Correct.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say is they actually had two screenwriters for this film.
Oh, you did?
Okay. First one was a guy named Willis Goldbeck, excuse me. Now, what's interesting is this was 1932, but he would go on to write the screenplay for The Colossus of New York, which is a great movie, and the film The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a connection.
You got me.
Now, the other screenwriter they had was an actual playwright, and his name was Leon Gordon. He was a playwright. Somehow he got involved with this project. But go ahead, all yours.
You want to hear something crazy about this movie? This was so shocking. It was
Yeah.
so fucking that they did an original version that was 90 minutes
Right.
long. That
They had to cut it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there was some crazy shit. I read some shit.
Now,
Well,
wait a second.
the ending.
We got candy.
Oh, we got candy.
We got candy and delicious women.
Hello, ladies.
What is this, trick or treat?
Wait, what is this?
I work with Southern.
Oh, yeah?
Like a special. I don't know. You know
Is this a
what?
fireball one?
I got a fireball. I got
I'm gonna
Fireball.
have a surprise.
Right.
I'm gonna have it. If this is like one of those snake things that pops open.
I love free gifts. This is great. Thank you.
Ah, Charger! Hey.
You're live on the internet. Say hello.
Hi, Internet.
Live on Facebook.
I'm Rio.
Hello.
She works for Fireball.
Get lumped up.
That's right.
Look at that.
Nice.
Fireball. You want to have a creepy
They
time?
love us.
Drink the
They love us.
Fireball.
Drink
Wait, I want a
Fireball.
fireball thing. I want a fireball thing. Hurrah!
Fireball loves
Thank you
us.
so much.
Cheers, y'all.
All right. Well, we got a bucket of
So,
stuff. We have a bucket of stuff. Can I?
Freaks was a 90-minute film.
Right.
Okay, that got cut down to 64 minutes,
Right.
mainly because of the ending.
Right.
If you're familiar with the film, at the end, the midgets get revenge on the bad guys.
Can we before we get to the ending?
Yeah.
Can I just give you a lead up to how the film came about?
Sure.
So, Todd Browning had just directed, in 1931, directed Dracula.
Right, the Lugosi Dracula.
Now, Dracula was when it came out, was the biggest money-making film of all time.
That people
It
forget
was
that.
the Spider-Man of its time.
Yep.
It was the biggest,
It's
and
like
it
Star
saved the
Wars.
studio.
Yep.
And the executives at the studio were like, you know what? You saved the studio.
Do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want. And he's like, really? Really? I can do anything I want? 'Cause
Don't tell nobody you do whatever the hell they want.
right. And, he wanted Lon Chaney to play Dracula, but
It didn't happen.
it didn't happen because he died.
Because he died, yeah,
he
it was already-
dead. But he made a great choice with Bela Lugosi.
Can't get any better than that.
And also, this is going to be a combination. This is going to be a thing between the two films that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because you know who the cinematographer was
Yes.
for Dracula?
Merritt B. Gerstad.
Carl Freund.
No, Carl Freund. I'm
Carl
sorry. Yeah.
Freund.
Who
Who
directed Mad
directed-
Love? Who
right.
directed Mad Love?
In fact,
but that we had
I'll tell you
to-
this: Carl Freund is co-directed. He's an uncredited director because all kinds of things happen on the set, and he actually wound up directing a lot of the film himself.
Yes.
So this is a great connection between the two
But
films we're
but
talking about.
the cinematographer for Freaks was Merritt B. Gerstad.
Right on.
And what's interesting is he had a credit for Imitation of Life in 1934, famous movie. A Night at the Opera, Marx Brothers flick.
That's a great movie.
Great flick. And
Captain Spaulding.
and London After Midnight,
London After Midnight,
which is
the
the
great lost
lost
film.
Lon Chaney movie.
We're making it opera
He did
history.
the cinematography for that.
Yep.
So,
Bucket full of shit. So great. I apologize. I just wanted to get into
No.
how this film came about.
well, let me
And
let me read.
it was Harry Earl that worked on the Unholy Three that
let
said, hey, I want to do. I can be a
He's
star of
He's
this.
a doll guy. He's that tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just read off the stars here a little
Okay,
bit.
go ahead.
Okay. Wallace Ford was Frozzo.
Right?
Leela Hyams was Venus.
Correct.
She was an up-and-coming, very beautiful actress. Olga Baklanova plays Cleopatra.
Olga Basanovas.
Yes. Roscoe Atez, I think. Roscoe Atez plays Roscoe, right? Married to Daisy.
Correct.
Right? Johnny Eck, and you can talk about Johnny Eck in a
My
second.
favorite all-time sideshow
Daisy and Violet Hilton. They was the Siamese twin girls. Schlitzie the Pinhead, right here. Okay.
Pinhead.
And Henry Victor was the Hercules guy.
Right.
And Harry Earls and Daisy Earls were Hans and Frida.
Right, who were
in
brother and sister.
real life were brother and sister, but in this film they're
And they belong,
engaged.
they belong to an act called the Doll Family.
The Doll family.
And it was basically, their whole act was just, people would line up and watch them be little people.
Yep.
Because there's a whole family of them, and they're all little people.
Didn't they have a house that had extra small furniture for them?
Yes, and
had,
people
like,
would pay money
to go see them.
just watch them.
Because they lived in a tiny house.
Little people in a little tiny house.
Yes.
That was their act.
Hey, look, there was no TV in those days. What else was there to do?
You needed entertainment.
There was no Netflix.
There was either fucking or TV.
That's it. That's all you could do.
What is your TV?
Not even TV.
I mean,
Go to the movies or watch Freaks.
Right.
So
What
guys,
was the theater?
guys, I gotta tell you something.
Yeah.
Watching this fucking movie.
I love hearing it from someone who just watched it for
And
the first
and the
time.
thing is that so you see this little guy talk. At first I thought it was a little kid. And the fucking talking to
voice.
this other little
With the big accent.
Yeah, with the thick German accent.
Yeah, the big German accent.
And then he's out
What's he
there.
saying?
And then walking around this fucking place and you see the freaks. First you start with a guy outside trying to get them. Come in and you
Yeah.
go through the window and you see this weird shit and you're like, motherfucker.
Now, what did you think when he started cursing in German?
Oh, it was great.
You swine!
But this movie is fucked up.
It is.
And
I
can't-
saw this movie on Channel 13 probably when I was about 8 years old.
Oh,
All right? And it warped my fucking mind ever since, man.
My thing
It's
about
never
this,
been the same ever
Nope,
since.
never been the
my thing
same.
about this movie, you see all these people. These fucking. This is a freak show. This is
Hence the name. Yeah.
This is like a this is a carnival.
Here's the
You know
thing.
which guy freaked me out? The fucking human torso.
Oh,
Yeah.
let me talk about him for a second.
Holy
okay?
shit.
His name was Prince Radiant.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's raining.
Now he was known as the human torso or the living torso. He had like all kinds of
Yeah.
names. All right. He was a real prince from British Guyana. He was actually Hindu. He was like of Indian descent in British Guyana. He had a wife named Princess Sarah and 4 kids.
How the hell did
How did he have kids?
How did he fuck?
You know what?
Did,
You know
must
what? If
have-
all you got is torso, you got to.
I guess
Dude, they show the guy moving around like a fucking snake.
He's a snake. Yeah. He lights the cigarette. He lights the cigarette with his mouth. Okay.
Cigarette with his mouth.
That's classic. Now here's the thing. I didn't know this until I did my research. He lived at 174 Water Street in Paterson, New Jersey.
Real, you leaving?
Okay, because he was actually doing sideshows in New Jersey.
I think I do remember him being in New Jersey.
Yeah. So that's where he actually died and lived his life and died there.
Wait. Get in there. Little further.
Little further.
Little further. Come on.
Hello.
Fireball, Ace Bar, later.
Ace Bar. Go to Ace Bar.
Trivia.
Cool. Good to see you.
Hi guys.
All right.
I just.
All right. So let's go there one day.
Well,
174 Water Street,
174
Paterson,
Water.
New
You know
Jersey.
what? I'm in. I'm totally in.
Now, one thing I love too is the Ramones have a song called Worm Man, which is kind of about this guy. Okay, I
Right.
think. And I remember when they came out with the single for it, the picture it had him on the picture of the record.
Oh,
on the
right
cover.
on.
I was like, oh shit, it's the guy from
I think
Freaks.
I think they also like the film.
Well, because of Gabba Gabba Head.
Gabba Gabba Head.
Yeah, well, Gooble Gobble
Where did
became
that
Gabba
come
Gabba. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
guys, let's talk about this fucking movie.
Let's talk about this.
I know
fucking
we're
movie.
giving it out, but let's just talk about the fucking movie.
Could you make
So-
this movie today?
No.
No, absolutely not.
No,
There's
no.
no way.
I think you could barely
Absolutely
make it
not.
then.
I think if you did do it,
People
it would be
would-
like fucking.
people would lose
It
their
would be
shit.
what would be? It would be like
Well,
rated
people
X,
lost their
so it'd
shit
be
when they did it back
unrated. It would be
then.
unrated.
People would lose their shit. I think they'd riot, man, in the freaking
So
studio.
let me just say a couple of things. First of all, the studio heads went like, "You did Dracula, anything you want, give us a good." They wanted a good horror show. We want something horrible. And the joke is that
Oh my God! Did they
the
get something
antidote. Well, the
horrible?
antidotes is like they're watching the first dailies and they're like,
Oh, shit. What did we do?
We told them to give us something horrible. They actually kind of tried to bury it. They're like, nobody's gonna see this movie.
No.
But it
They're like
actually
they gave it a very limited release. It got banned in England.
Yeah.
People were just so
Well,
freaked
it
out about this movie.
actually they tried to ban it. and I think it didn't successfully get banned.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
It became a
Yeah.
cult classic. People actually.
But over time, like
Over time.
once TV came along,
In the 60s,
it was shown.
in the 60s, during
Yeah.
during the hippie and freaks,
yeah.
freaks became more of a symbolic of,
Well, Harry Earls, I think was it the late 40s or early 50s? He made what? Terror of Tiny Town, the only midget western ever made. Okay, where everybody's a midget.
That's fucking something. We gotta do that.
That's a great movie.
all midget
It's a great movie.
You know what movie we should do? We should do the original Dynamite.
Oh, Dolomite.
Dolomite.
Oh yeah.
Dolomite.
Well, that's just been done,
It's
right? You do realize that's
it's
just
on
been
it's on Netflix. You can
No,
see
I
it.
mean we do the real movie, not this shit that came out.
the original with Rudy Ray Moore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? It's a great movie.
Cause that would be fucking funny. Cause there was something that came out that people could have believed the shit. Like the studio.
There's a bunch of
well,
Dolomites.
here's something that Todd Browning did,
What?
which is so incredible. And you talk about how this movie can never be made, but he did something like all the sideshow performers you see in this movie had never worked together. They all worked in different shows all around the country.
He got them all together
He
for this
somehow or another got the greatest sideshow performers in all the country together
in one place.
And
Josephine
that is
Joseph.
correct. That is what is so great
Yeah.
about this film is how he was able
Now,
to gather the greatest sideshow talent all together.
the way I understood it is that once this film came out and it was realized,
People
it
really
ruined
freaked
him
out.
though. It ruined his career, right?
Oh, he did. That was it.
That was the end of him.
That was
pretty
it.
much.
Dracula made his career,
And Freaks
destroyed it. And he was just, it was over after that.
Yep.
He was very bitter. And,
Yeah.
He became very bitter.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of money. I'm
Lost a
sure.
lot of money. It just.
Well, it was actually remade in the '60s, sort of a remake by Herschel Gordon Lewis called She Freak. Okay,
right.
which it's not exactly a remake, but it's pretty close. And there are some midgets and things in it. It's a little bit different though.
They got
I mean, Herschel Gordon Lewis made gore movies. That's what it was about.
The concept of the movie is to a midget fall in love. Can a little person fall in love with a full-size woman?
Well,
That's what
that's
they want
part of
one
it,
of the cars, 'cause there was that-
there's a message in this
Yeah,
movie, though.
there
Robert.
is a message, but pretty much
Yeah.
that's the whole concept. Then you got all the other story with all the other character, but the concept is this woman, Hercules, Cleopatra, and Hercules get together. They find out this guy got a
Got some money,
heroin,
right?
Yeah.
got a bunch of money coming
She's
in.
gonna trick
And
him.
she's trying to trick him so he can fucking, marry her
Die,
and then she'll die
and
and
she'll
she'll
end
inherit
up
the
with
money.
Hercules, yeah.
And then him and Hercules come in. That's
The-
pretty much the plot of the movie.
It's more than that, though.
I've always believed that the message of this film
I think we're gonna
is
agree,
for the
yeah.
disenfranchised.
Yes.
Yes. People who are not like others.
Right, the
Yeah.
people that are different, the people that are
Different,
considered
get made
freaks.
fun of.
Okay, they're the heroes in this film.
They're the
Okay?
heroes.
they are
The
the heroes.
normal-sized people are the scumbags.
But
Okay,
you see
Right,
that one
exactly.
point where the old shirt they try and shit Cleopatra and try to say you one of us? Like, oh,
Yeah.
oh well,
One
yeah.
of
I
us,
mean,
one
'cause
of
they-
us. We
look-
accept
look
you,
what
one
they-
of us,
Look
one of us.
look what they do though. Think about this. They didn't really like what they were seeing with Hans and her. But once Hans says he was going to get married, they accepted her for a minute.
her. Yeah,
Okay, for a minute,
So,
and they said, okay, you could,
can
take
be
this
part of
loving
us.
cup, drink from the same cup as us.
Yeah.
The party's going on. We accept you, one of us. Gabba gabba. And what did she do? She says, "You people make me want to puke."
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you fucking
She
freaks.
rejects them.
Okay,
She
rejects
rejects
them, and they throw the wine back in the guy's face. Okay, and after that, game is on.
Yeah.
Okay, game is on after that. I mean, the message to me was
like when all hell breaks
yeah.
loose. Like,
The message to me was like these people. Are good people.
Yeah.
They're not the bad freaks, evil people, but don't cross them because there's a code among them where they
code
stick
of the
together.
freaks.
Where they stick
Code of
together.
the freaks.
Code of the freaks. And that's great. As it should be.
Now,
Let me show you. If I ever saw the human torso myself, I would curb stamp that motherfucker because it would freak me out.
It would freak
Fuck
you
that
out, but
shit.
you couldn't stop looking at it, I bet.
Oh, I couldn't.
Yeah,
That's why I
yeah.
have to kill it.
Now, it actually draws a parallel to reality because
Yeah.
at the time, so sideshows at the time were very popular.
Yes.
Sideshow performers were actually paid very well.
Yes, it
They
was a
made
big
great
business.
money. These are people who could, in the 20s and the 30s,
Yeah.
they could never make a living doing
In regular
anything else.
society,
Right,
no
they
way.
were shunned.
Yeah.
But however, on the stage, they were
could do it.
stars, and they made great money.
Yeah.
And there's this interesting.
But they also lived very hard, rough life, almost like Andre the Giant. They
Well,
lost
well,
all
they
travel,
traveled,
and
yeah,
stuff.
that's
but they made money. They bought houses.
Yeah.
They were, and then there came this point where this movement came, like, oh, you're just taking advantage of these people. You're
Yeah.
and they shut down the sideshows, and now these people
Got nowhere to go,
got nowhere to go.
and they can't really fit in.
They got nowhere. There's a story about Schlitzie,
Yeah.
Schlitzie actually made great money.
Sure.
And was taken care of and was with a family, a traveling family, and
took care
they
of
loved her. They loved her like
Yeah.
him. I'm sorry, him was a he.
Wait, Schlitzy's a boy or girl?
Schlitzie is a male.
Thought it was a female,
They put him in a dress.
but it's a male.
He was very
Okay.
discontinent, so they
It's a,
Doesn't matter. I don't care.
it's
It's just a pinhead.
Schlitzie was a male.
Like zip the pit.
Right. But Schlitzie actually made good money.
Yeah.
He was a very popular performer. But there's a story, like, once they shut down the sideshows, there was this a guy who used to run the sideshow, like, decided to try to find Schlitzie. They found Schlitzie in an institution, naked and curled up in the
How long ago was
curled up in the
this?
corner.
Like, how far long after Freaks was this?
I could not tell you exactly. but-
he didn't live too
But
long.
why did they close all the
But
sideshows?
but they tried to find him. He tried to find him, and he was put in an institution, and it was terrible. And he
terrible.
actually found him and brought him back and took him home and took care of him.
of him.
But why did they close them down? Why did they close the
Because
sideshows?
people started feeling like, oh, you're exploiting these people.
them, and because
But they took care of these
Can I-
people.
Yeah.
can I
At least they weren't in an institution.
I would just like to say this. I think one of the things about like a human oddity or someone like that.
Yeah.
People relate themselves to that. They
project themselves into that situation.
So let's say you're born without arms and legs.
Yeah.
You just grow up and you adapt to that, and that's your life. But let's say you're a person who has arms and legs, and you look at that and you're like, oh my God, if I was like that,
My life would
my
be
life would be
over.
horrible, it would be terrible. And so I think people project themselves into these.
And they're afraid, and it creates like a fear
it
kind of
makes
thing.
them afraid of themselves,
Of that happening kind of
It's a
thing,
turn
yeah.
right, and so like, oh, you can't display people. Like
Now,
that.
I
You
was
can't do that.
and we touched on it this whole conversation. I was going to say, do you feel that Freaks exploited these people? But the movie, okay, but I see it as a celebration,
It was a celebration.
as a
It was
celebration
story.
of their difference.
And that's why.
But people don't see it that way because even today, people look at that movie. Yes, it's admired more now, but maybe not all for the right reasons. But like, I think people see it now like, oh, that they were exploiting them, and that's not true. I don't think they were.
I look at it as a celebration of
Oddities.
oddities of people who are not like others.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I've always, look at me. I'm a freak. I've always been a freak.
Everybody's
And
a
I
freak.
relate-
Everybody's
and I
a freak.
And I relate to
What do you?
that sideshow.
If you're not a freak, if you think you're not a freak, just go over in your mind what you do every night.
Right.
Somebody
All right,
told
when no
Mike
one's
he
around.
had a good costume.
Yeah, look, I'm on the F train. I'm on the F train, and someone's like, "Hey, nice costume," and I'm like, "Thanks, man." And meanwhile, this ain't no costume. This is my regular clothes.
That is hilarious.
And that's not the first time that's happened
Hey,
either.
dude, great costume.
Yeah,
not a
thanks, man.
costume.
It's not a costume, asshole. It's hard being Rock and Mike. Come on, it's hard, you know.
I love that so much.
Look, we're all freaks in one way or another.
Right.
Okay.
And people spend so much time and energy on trying to not be freaks. I want to be normal. I want to be
What's
normal. I
normal?
want to be like
What's
everyone
normal?
else.
Be
What
yourself.
is normal?
Be
and that
yourself.
is the real story of freaks.
Yeah, there's
what
no
is
matter.
normal?
I agree.
What is normal?
I
You know what?
agree.
Those people in their head, they're
Not
normal.
me.
They're normal because that's the card that they dealt. So they're going to think they're normal.
Right, right.
Oh,
And that's the bottom line.
You are
know?
correct, sir.
So let's move on
All right.
to Mad Love.
Mad Love.
Okay.
Holy motherfucker. This
Okay.
is another great movie.
Right.
Carl Freud.
Right. One of my favorites, definitely from the 30s.
Right.
And probably my second favorite
This came
Peter
out in
Lorre film.
1935.
Right.
Actually.
My second favorite Lorre film after M.
Right, correct.
M is the classic. That's
Well,
his
this was his first
American. I think it was his
film, right?
first American film. Yeah. Okay. Give a little background here on the movie.
we
Came
go.
out in 1935. It was based off of a French book called The Hands of Orlac. Now, The Hands of Orlac was actually filmed in the 20s as a silent movie, and there's been different variations of it over the years. The Hands of Orlac is the story of a guy who's a concert piano player, and he loses his hands in an accident.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep. And a surgeon puts on the hands of a recently executed serial killer and knife thrower.
Knife thrower.
Okay.
Knife thrower.
And all of a sudden, as he heals, he starts to have inclinations to kill. He wants to kill people. He can throw knives really good.
He can also
Okay.
throw a pen very well.
Yes,
yeah,
he did.
pen, yeah.
Fountain pen.
Pen,
Yes. Okay. Now,
I mean,
this film was directed by Carl Freund, who did the cinematography for Dracula, like we were saying.
He also did cinematography for Metropolis.
Metropolis, which is one of my all-time favorites.
Metropolis,
And also
yes.
one of my favorite old German films, The Golem.
Yep. And
movie.
you might recognize the name Carl Freund because he did the cinematography on I Love Lucy.
Wow.
Okay, believe it or not.
Damn it, you got me.
Yep.
I did not know that one.
And the interesting thing about I Love Lucy is that when Desi Arnaz was putting that project together to make that, he actually convinced the studio to let him film those episodes on actual film stock. Okay, which is why I Love Lucy has
Right, it
lasted
looks so
so
great.
well all these years. And he brought in Carl Freund in to do it. So, I mean, it was really top-notch production on I Love Lucy. Anyway.
I did not know that.
Now, what Freund also directed, now, Mad Love was an MGM film, but he also directed The Mummy.
The Mummy with Boris Karloff.
With Boris Karloff, the 1930 version. Now, in this film, Mad Love, Peter Lorre's the star, and like we said, it's his first American film. After making M in Fritz Lang's M in Germany, he obviously had to get out. It was 1931, and he came to the States. He plays Dr. Gogol.
Oh my God, what a creepy motherfucker.
Creepiest
Right?
motherfucker. I mean, the shaved head.
It
shit,
is literally,
right?
it is literally
Yeah.
the quintessential
Peter
Peter
Lorre.
Lorre. Like when you think of Peter Lorre, or when you see him in the Warner Brothers cartoons, you think they do Peter Lorre as this character.
Yeah, like remember in the Bugs Bunny with the
Yeah,
monster.
exactly.
Okay, you got the mad scientist,
Exactly.
and that's Peter
That's
Lorre
Peter
in
Lorre
that
doing
movie.
this movie.
In that movie.
This character.
Yeah, and he plays like this controversial surgeon who's known for the miraculous healings and all that stuff. And basically, you have this couple, Yvonne and Stephen Orlac. Orlac is the concert pianist.
Played by
Colin Clive,
who played Frankenstein.
Right, exactly. Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh, and by the way, right, Dr. Frankenstein, not the monster.
Yeah, the monster
by the
was
way,
never Frankenstein.
By the way,
people forget that.
He was working on this film around the same time he was doing Bride of Frankenstein,
Yes.
which I think is one of the greatest.
It's better than the original
I
Frankenstein.
think is one of the greatest gothic horror films.
I think it's one of the greatest films ever.
Ever.
All right. I mean, I think you have Frankenstein, which is
Correct.
untouchable.
Correct.
Bride of Frankenstein is
it is
better.
It is like a different level.
It's a different level.
It is James Wells
Yeah.
taking the story and just taking it to a different stuff with so many different elements.
Yep.
But I digress. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off.
That's okay. No problem. I mean, I could talk to Universal monster movies all night.
The only Frankenstein I like is Young Frankenstein. So fuck you.
Which is
I
actually based more on Bride of Frankenstein
Yes.
than it is the
More
original.
Bride,
yeah.
It's
More
actually
Bride,
based
yeah.
on Bride of
Bride
Frankenstein
more, yeah.
more than the original.
Remember Madeline Kahn at the end?
Yeah. So, guys, I'm watching this movie for the first time,
Yeah.
All right.
and I see
That's
this
what I mean.
bull-headed, creepy motherfucker, and he's totally in love with this opera singer.
Right.
And they start talking, and she starts saying, oh, I am going to leave. I'm leaving to England, and this is my husband. He goes, husband, because he was obsessed by this fucking woman.
He was obsessed with Orlak's wife.
So much so that he bought a wax figure of her.
Yes. Well, he would visit. She was an actress on stage.
Yeah.
And he would go in the same box seat every night for a year. He would rent it out to see her perform. He was obsessed with her. When he finds out she's married, he's pissed, and he decides, he's insane basically, and he decides he's going to have her no matter what.
Yeah.
So at the same time, the husband gets into a bad train wreck. Okay, there's a train accident, and he loses his hands are crushed, and that's his career because he plays the piano. So now here's the thing: isn't Yvonne Orlak just a typical chick? Okay,
Yeah.
That, she doesn't like Gogol creeps her out. But who's the first person she thinks of when she needs help?
The creepy guy.
Okay,
Creepy
so
guy.
it's almost like you deserve this, you bitch.
Let me tell you something. You know what the other scene I love? The guillotine scene.
Oh, with Rolo.
Rolo.
What a guy called
Rolo, the knife-throwing murderer.
And he's American too.
First of all,
The story takes place in
that
France.
somewhere he's about to get his
By the
head
way,
chopped
Rolo
off.
is also the name of Lon Chaney's character in The Unknown,
Yes.
who was also a knife thrower.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ta-da,
Good
ta-da.
throwback.
That's like an Easter egg.
But he
Yes.
throws with his feet.
But dude,
That's
I'm
amazing.
looking at
No.
this scene, and there's a reporter there. Oh, I've just got here, blah, blah, blah. And they bringing the
Now,
guy
that guy-
out to get cut,
Yeah.
and they put a
Now
cigarette
that
in
guy's
his
name,
mouth.
that actor's name was Ted Haley. Okay,
Yeah.
and he plays Regan, the reporter.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that guy just the typical, like Brooklyn Irish
Yeah.
reporter? Okay, from back in the day, just the way he plays that whole role.
Oh, yeah. I love
Okay.
the way he goes. Let me ask him a few questions before he dies.
Before he
And
dies.
he's talking about buildings in San Francisco.
No,
And this,
and any last words? He's like, "Well, did they build that dam yet?"
Yeah, that dam.
The last thing he asks before he gets executed is, "Did they build the Hoover Dam?"
And you know, the guy's all fucked up. He's okay. He's like ready to lose his head. The next thing you see the scene when the guillotine goes down.
When they test the guillotine, he goes, "Wow."
Wow. Yeah. But the Dr. Golo was there, right?
Yes.
He was there.
Yeah, he was there for that. Yeah, for some reason, I forget why.
Because you know what? I think in my head, he's the one that set up the train accident almost.
No, I think it was just a turn of events.
I still think in the movie. I
I
think
never picked up
You're
on
thinking
that.
Unbreakable.
I'm thinking Unbreakable. Yeah, I'm thinking that he set up something to get. He knew he was going to be there.
I thought it was just like a
And
coincidence.
he
but
knew
maybe,
she would come to him and get his.
well, he
and
was saying
why would
like
he take his head?
he was saying I have the power of suggestion. I could
Yeah.
make her do maybe. I didn't pick up on that.
But
If that's
why
the
did he
case.
take his head? He took his head and his hand. Think about that.
Well, the head was because it got
Yeah,
cut off in the
but the
guillotine.
hands too.
He needed the hands to do the
So
operation.
that's why he was there. But
Okay.
think about how sick he was. He got the head
Well,
also.
does it? Yeah, that's true.
Why needs a souvenir?
Think about that.
Yeah.
I think there was something there.
I
Maybe.
would take the head. I would totally take the head.
No, but then it goes even weirder, okay? Because
Here we go.
after the operation, he puts the killer's hands on Stephen Orlak and transplants them on, and he's giving them, rehabbing them, and he's like, the guy's starting to play a little bit, but he has these inclinations to fucking throw knives
Throw
and kill
knives at
people.
people.
But he's not playing the same
But he's
either.
not. He can't really play.
Play, yeah.
he can't play good. So Gogol realizes this is a way to get the wife, because he says if I can set up the husband, okay. So he ends up seeing him, and he gets a message to him that Rolo wants to meet him.
Yes.
Okay. Meanwhile, Rolo's dead, but he shows
supposed
up.
to be dead.
He shows up in this like sick outfit that it's supposed to be like Rolo, but it's Laurie talking in the role,
With,
and he has
like,
like
the
this
whole
neck thing, and he's saying this is what's holding my head on because Dr. Gogol put my head back on,
Yeah.
and now I'm alive, and
Yeah.
and he's torturing Orlak into
Yeah.
thinking that he's nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's
No.
crazy.
Well,
That was
here's
so
the deal.
great.
Yeah.
You know what the story of this is? You'll do anything to get the girl.
Absolutely.
I will
Absolutely.
act like a murderer that has had my head chopped off,
You got to give him an A for effort, man.
Right, you know
What was the line? He said-
anything for the girl.
You know what's a great scene in the movie? He's like in the like he meets the girl and he goes to do something. She pushes him off and she say, I would never love you no matter what."
Yeah.
He goes like, I came from a cancer and I conquered surgery.
Why can't I conquer love? Yeah.
And
Why
after
can't I
this,
conquer love?
he goes mad. Like he loses
No,
his
he
shit.
loses his shit. Yeah.
And then he starts
And I thought
the
that
wax figure
Yeah,
like
and he's talking to the wax, and he's
figure
like,
as if it's real.
man, Galatea. He's
I
like,
think
oh my god.
I think it's a predecessor to Sex Robots.
But serious,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Sex Robots.
Love dolls.
I can't find love, so I need a sex robot.
that's a great
I
scene
love
because
dolls.
the wife is there and acting like the mannequin. How come
Well,
she
she sneaks in there, and she almost gets caught, and she has to act like the wax statue of herself. Okay.
But then she's making faces and he's talking to her.
But then he realizes she's alive because she screams.
So she's pretending to be a wax doll. He's pretending to be a dead serial killer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
who knows what's going on? It is a fucked up movie if you haven't seen it.
Hey, you know what? How about when the Steven went to talk to like his father-in-law and he winds up killing his father?
Yeah, killing
No. Gogol kills him.
But
Gogol kills him afterwards.
He made him think that he did.
Yeah,
it,
he
which
made
was
him
a great
because he
scene.
threw the knife, and then he's like, "No, I didn't kill him. I threw a knife at him, but I didn't kill him." And then it turns out that Gogol killed him to set him up.
And then he gave him the knife and said, "When the cops come, just throw this at them."
Yep. Now, one thing I got to mention is the cinematography in that movie is amazing because Carl Freund worked with Fritz Lang, and Fritz Lang, on Metropolis.
Some of the greatest cinematography.
Absolutely, it's a genre called German Expressionism, and films like The Cabin of Dr. Caligari, Metropolis, they're all in that genre, and you can always tell that type of film.
Right.
And there's aspects of this in Mad Love. Okay, the sets, the angles on the doors, the way the windows are angled, it's just very in that genre, even though it technically wasn't that kind of movie.
Right. No, but I mean, Carl Freund is instrumental in the whole German Impressionist film and the Gothic horror film. Like when you think about these films and you think about the way they look, that's Carl Freund.
Absolutely. Now this film was not well received.
Nope.
Not at first.
That's something that Both Freaks
and Mad Love
have in
But
common.
I can see how these movies later on could get a cult following because they're just great movies.
Well, that's
but you
just
gotta
it.
appreciate them.
What made these movies become classics is television.
Yeah.
Okay, in the late 40s, early 50s, these movies were in the public domain, so it was easy for television to get the rights to show them.
Okay.
So you would have like all night horror stuff.
So then you had kids like us
eventually
watching them on TV going,
You know what was this thing? This was one of those things that you will have Elvira present,
Yes, absolutely.
and you will have these movies come in, and that's the
back
way I saw a lot of the
50s.
movies.
In the 50s, you had Vampira.
Vampire.
Vampira was like an early version of Elvira. Then in the 80s, you had Elvira.
Newman. What's your name? Newman.
Also, Mystery Science Theater 3000 would
Mystery
rip that shit apart.
Science.
Stuff like that. One other thing, too, I got to mention, a little interesting side note, is one of the criticisms that this film got. Actually, let me back up. The film Citizen Kane, by Orson Welles, was actually accused by the New Yorker magazine when that film came out in 1948, I think, of ripping off Mad Love.
Well, they call it inspired by.
For the sets that they used.
Right.
The sets for Citizen Kane's house look very much like the design of Gogol's house in Mad Love, which is interesting because I never made the connection, but someone picked up on it way back then.
You got to remember, Gogol was just technically was like a millionaire. He was very rich.
Yeah.
Well, right. Well, going back to what we mentioned before with the German Impressionists.
Wells
films,
was influenced by that, absolutely.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
And so it's those long lines, those long steep lines and
different angles.
different angles.
Yeah.
Well done, guys.
Yes, I think we did a great job here today. Hope we didn't bore you people.
Bro, I gotta talk to you about some shit.
Yeah, go
Did
ahead.
you see the Epstein? Now they're saying that it looks like it was a homicide. Now they're saying because of the market. Did
What?
you read that whole
No,
thing?
I heard they were going to make an announcement. Was that the
That's the
announcement?
announcement. That it was more like a homicide and a
Was there marks on
strangulation.
his
There were
neck or
marks and stuff. So the whole Epstein shit is hitting the fan.
Hello.
So,
But remember, the cameras were broken, people.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't know who did
we
it.
don't know who did. But here, what I got. This is the next thing. We're gonna do a very weird
I think
show.
somebody's father hired a.
We're gonna do a very weird show.
One of
We're
those
gonna
girls'
do,
fathers may be hired.
You want to
What's
do
the
it?
one that won the little guy, the little cave guy,
Who?
the triple terror? What was it?
Oh, Trilogy of Terror.
Trilogy of Terror, I think should be the next one. But we're gonna do it. We're going with Trilogy of Terror and Blazing Saddle back to back. So we're gonna go from a
By
very
the way-
scary movie
by the way,
to a
you-
very
when you-
funny
when
to
you-
comedy.
When you mentioned that Freaks is a film that can never be remade, Blazing Saddles, another film.
Even
that
Mel
never-
Brooks said he couldn't make it today.
So we're
Brooks
probably
himself.
going to invite you a month from see any of those two movies. Blazing Saddle, we'll see the Trilogy of Terror.
What did he say about all this?
And we're going to have plenty of say, because these are two movies. Even that one, I think none of these two movies can be made.
So we're going to bring Movie Mayhem back?
We're bringing movie.
I would love to come
with
back if you asked me.
With ClownKong.
Uh-huh.
And also, we got a bunch of announcements.
Well, we'll do more of that
But
soon.
I want to say we're going to change the format of the rock show. We're going to pretty much do like an album. And we're going to critique an album.
Well, I think, we're going to continue talking about different bands, but we're going to throw in an episode here and there where we'll talk about a band and one album and what went into making it and what happened and all. Because there's a lot of great stories with bands that maybe I don't want to get into for a whole episode, but just definitely to talk about a certain album. So starting, I would say, the end of the year or so, or beginning of next year, we're going to be doing that on the Rock Show. Conspiracy is going strong. We still got stuff coming up with that. We got a special guest possibly coming in on the next one. More info about that soon.
Can I promote my show?
Yeah,
Of course, I was going to bring that up.
So, if you like Freaks, I'm doing a show. You guys know I'm doing a show called Nefarious
The Heart Swallow.
at the Heart Swallow. The next one is November 15.
It's a Friday? Or
It's a Friday night, November 15. And then we're also doing a show. The next one is December. Friday the 13th, so we're going to do a creepy Christmas. And I'm doing it with my amazing partner, Alaska. She's ridiculously talented and awesomely hot, and way smarter than me.
What time is it, November 15th?
It's always at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, the
There's
Heart Swallow.
Never, at the Heart Swallow, 140 First Avenue.
Between St. Mark's and 9th Street.
Correct. Never a cover.
Nope.
And it's basically a cabaret show that features sideshow performers and burlesque. So, strippers and freaks.
pretty much.
Please come.
Nothing better than that.
Nefarious.
I also
You can
like
also,
to.
I'm sorry. You can also find just real quick Nefarious Clowns at Nefarious Clowns on Instagram.
Fan content.
At Nefarious Clown.
And I also need to plug the 5th annual food drive, November 24th, which I think is a Sunday.
DJ Jose?
From 2 to 7 p.m. We're going to have DJ Jose play music, and we're going to have a food drive before the week of Thanksgiving. Any dry goods, cans will be taken for the food drive. I do every
at
year.
International.
Last year we did 350 pounds worth of food. This year I want to give
350 pounds.
This year I want to get 500 pounds. So I need people to come, bring the cans, and let's feed these people that are hungry that got nothing. We got so much that they got
Again,
nothing.
what day is it, Rob?
I think it's November 24th. I'm gonna make sure. I think
we'll post it.
We'll post it, but stay tuned for that. Rocker Mike, how can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, RockerMike212, RockerMike212 on Instagram. Twitter, I'm out there too, RockerMike3. And on Facebook, under my name, Michael Baker.
And I'm also making an announcement. I'm adding one more show called Rossi Ramp.
Rants.
It's gonna be me about 15 minutes shitting on a person
Shitting on things.
or shitting on something.
What pisses
Basically, hanging out
off Rob?
with you.
What pisses me off?
What pisses him off the most for 15 minutes?
I need to let this shit out.
This is
'cause I've been holding a lot of
therapeutic.
thing in.
It's very therapeutic because he takes it out on the customers most of the
It'll
time.
be a lot of
It's
therapy.
basically like hanging out with them at the bar.
It's gonna
Yes.
be about it, and the first time I'll take about bullies.
Yeah.
Fucking idiots, kids are killing themselves because they don't get bullied. Back in the day, you know what I would do to the bully? I
Kick
wait
their
for
ass.
him, follow that motherfucker, crack him over the head with a fucking bat. So
Aluminum bat.
That's what I'm saying. Because a lot of shit
I use rubber
going on.
chickens myself.
Dude, but here's the big part about Freaks. We need to finish the whole movie. I'm going to finish the movie.
All right, go ahead.
I'm so glad you finally got to see it.
Because these fucking, you guys missed the whole part. It's the biggest part of the whole movie.
The end.
It's with fucking Cleopatra, who's gonna lay her heart, and she gets Tarzan fed her.
turn it to
and
a
she
chicken.
Turn it to the
Like
chicken.
a weird freaking chicken lady.
Usually,
Well,
Well,
also, in the
originally
original
it didn't
ending-
end like that
In the original ending,
before they cut it.
oh, somebody get castrated.
Yes, Hercules.
Hercules
Hercules.
got castrated,
Yes.
and he's like, dude, he's supposed to talk with his iPhone. They're like, you know what? We've gone through this whole movie with all these weirdo.
And she done.
We can't do the castration part.
Imagine you're.
We're just gonna cut the
This,
castration
this
part.
is my thing. Imagine you're a studio executive. And
They're
you see,
sitting there.
and you
They're
see
sitting
a
there going. They just spent all this money on this film and watching it going.
I got an idea.
But
I got an idea.
You see this guy.
Rob, when we
get
make
his dick out.
when we make our first million, okay, when we make our first million on these podcasts, all right, we're gonna produce a film based on the making of that movie.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
and what happened?
That would
Okay,
be fantastic.
it'll just be an hour and a half, 2 hour movie on the making of Freaks.
Yes.
But it'll be a dramatized thing. It'll be a movie, not a
Yeah.
documentary. A movie.
Oh, we
So
can do
we'll-
like Dynamite.
I
We can
like-
it'd be like
we can do-
Dynamite.
We could do CGI with the fucking Freaks. We don't have to even have real ones.
I would like to play the part of Todd Browning if I may.
Absolutely. You're in it. You're in it.
Oh my God, that was.
I relate to him. I relate to him so many ways.
You know what's funny? We shouldn't say that. We need to copyright that shit right now before somebody take the idea.
I wonder who has the copyright.
Because that's the thing you gotta do. It might not even
Public
be.
domain.
It might not even be copyrighted. Because
Might be in public domain by
You
now.
gotta copyright every few years. It doesn't matter. You can change the name.
Okay.
So that's
Let's
what
look
I'm
into
saying.
it.
We can look into it.
Let's look into it. I'd love to have the rights for Freaks. Somebody's probably Rob Zombie has it or
Somebody
somebody.
definitely has
Well,
it.
you know what?
No,
You're
but
right.
I mean, to do the documentary, we need to, whoever have the copyright, we need to ask for permission to be able to use footage from the thing. So it will cost a few bucks, but I think we can do it.
Well, we don't need to have show footage. We'll make our own footage.
we're gonna make
It
our
would
own
it would be a real movie about that. Kind of like Ed Wood.
Yeah, but still,
You know?
you still gotta ask for rights,
I
even though
guess,
because of the
because it's the
thing.
same
It's
thing.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna ask you what's the concept, whether you get.
What do I know? I'm a clown.
I got a great guy that could play the torso.
The Human Torso.
Yeah,
Oh,
not so white Anthony.
you better start practicing his cigarette lighting trick with his mouth. We're gonna see if he can do that. That'll be his screen test. If he can light his cigarette with just his mouth and a match.
I'm gonna shrink myself and play Hans.
Yeah.
You know, that would be great.
Yeah.
The biggest guy I know playing the little guy.
Yeah. That's it.
That's a great
That's
idea.
perfect.
That's perfect. We'll shrink you down.
Oh man.
CGI.
And fucking Mike will be Hercules and Sandy will be Cleopatra.
Okay. All right.
We got the whole cast.
Sandy will get turned into a chicken.
I just had to bring that up because I thought that was the most traumatizing thing of the whole thing.
I mean,
at the end.
the ending is traumatizing.
Yeah, it was like,
All right, because they the midgets and the freaks all get their revenge.
Oh, and the duck lady thing
Yeah.
wound up in a Tarzan movie.
I mean, Cleopatra is the chicken.
Cleopatra is the chicken lady. It wound up,
I think I heard something
in
with
like
this.
a Tarzan movie.
Yeah.
Where they're going around Africa.
And they find this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard about that.
wow. All
Well,
right, people.
thank you, everybody.
So, like every show,
Thank you for having me, guys.
you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I really enjoyed it.
So remember, people, don't get drunk, get lumped up. Ta-da! I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
We were jumping to it. Next time
We're all over the place.
We were all over the place. We gotta.
Later, people.
That's